Welcome back to episode 26 in the Youthful Revolution series, featuring Immortal DC. The 5th season is done and dusted, so let's take a look at the end of season review, statistics, and discuss the future too. Today we are gonna be starting in the spreadsheet. Yes, I have a couple of changes over here, and I wanted to start over here because it's giving a good picture of, at least to me, it's giving a good picture of who have performed and who have not performed. And that goes for all of our players. All of our players is in here. We're looking at the strikers right here, and also those out on loan are in here, so we got a really good picture of who is also performing out on loan. Now I know who is out on loan and who is not, but you might not, but I will tell you. So I've changed the metric, right? The total score over here is obviously the thing we are mostly looking at, also the average attributes. So that's the two things we're mostly looking at right now. So the total score have completely changed. It's going from 0, which means they haven't played at all in any competitions. And I think a very, very high number is gonna be 50, like here on Jurgensen. 50 is gonna be extremely high number. And all of this is a very crazy calculation that I'm making in here that is from all of the different kinds of metrics you see over here, like dribbles, and also what I have added actually is the percentage based one here. So all of that is getting calculated into a total score, and that total score is this, right? So 51.77 total score is extremely high for Jurgensen. He has been the outstanding striker with another person, but he's not in here because he's not natural striker. He's more of a natural winger actually. But yeah, definitely Jurgensen. De Paula also did well, and Barlow actually did really well, but he's not an he played more as an inverted winger. So but he is probably more a natural striker actually. So this is also giving me a picture of, did I play them in a way that was outside what they probably are best at? And that's true here. Imortal was probably better as a striker, but I actually played him as an inverted winger. So he did even better than what we could have expected on an inverted winger role. I'm slightly disappointed with Gaubert. I think he should have done a little bit better in the games he did play. But 32 is not, I mean, it's not terrible, but he might be loaned out next season or something like that. And then we also got a couple out on loan, like Kondutu here. He actually did quite okay out on loan. Not too worried about him. He's now 18. He's one of our youth intakes, so that's pretty good. Mateus, not too great. I think we might want to sell him. Actually, I think he's gonna get released. His contract is running out, so he might get released. Carlos Santos, he did really well. He's only 18, so yeah, he's probably one of those that we want to keep around or loan out again, because he did really well out on loan. I don't remember, yeah, I think it was in the 4th division, but yeah, still, no matter where it is, it's gonna be, if you get these kinds of numbers, that's rock solid. But what I also do think for next season is that, and I already changed the sell and loan thing over here, so right now it's actually set up that anything below 7.5 in average attributes is probably not gonna be good enough. It's likely not gonna be good enough, to be honest. So I think next season we're probably looking at least, for the first team needs to have at least 8. I think they need to have 8 in average attributes to be worth it. That's probably how high we need to go. 7.5 or down to 7.5 is probably more like loan deals, development players. And if they are above 20, we're probably just looking to sell them, because then the development is not going to get there. Their attributes are probably not going to get there if they are above 20 already. So I'm going to be fairly strict with these guys. So there is probably a lot of these guys that probably not going to be good enough next season in terms of playing in the first squad. So either we're gonna sell them, like Pio here. I think he should be sold, but he's actually above 7.51. So we'll see what we do with him, but he's definitely one that we could sell. And the rest, it depends on how old they are. Like Herman Gildo here, he's one of the new intakes. He's definitely not going anywhere. He's gonna be loaned out because his numbers could go way above 8, right? It could be way higher than 8 in just a couple of years' time, of course. Attacking midfielders on the left-hand side, so that was the inverted wingers. Da Silva, of course, a loan deal. He did absolutely fantastic, 50 in total score. And next season, I think someone like Ramirez, I mean, he is also a wingback, so it depends on what formation we're gonna use, of course, but Andres Ramirez as the inverted, well, something in the AML role could be up for grabs for him, because he's definitely shown that he can probably go up there and do it. Now, some of his numbers are also from the wingback area, because he did play as a wingback a couple of times, but, you know, if you get these kinds of numbers, it doesn't matter where you're gonna play, to be honest. So that's pretty good. Sambo is out on loan, and he did really well out on loan, so he's coming back. He's very similar to Ramirez, more of a wing back, but could definitely also play further up the field. Almeida actually did really well out on loan, but I think he's probably someone we might gonna end up selling. Diego Nunes also out on loan, and he did okay out there, but probably also something we are looking to sell. I mean, we do need to sell players because this whole machine, we need the money from selling now to keep it going, right? So we also do need to sell people. I think we're gonna keep Miguel. He's still pretty young. I don't think he's ever gonna be good enough, but just to generate more money out of him, we probably want to keep him around and loan him out next season as well. Chavald, I mean, he is the original intake player. So, but yeah, I think we are trying to sell him. We don't have a lot of AMCs, or purely speaking AMCs. We do have Hugo, who actually played the first part of the season with us, and then he went out on loan in the second part, and he did not too great, I would say. It didn't really look that great. Is he gonna be good enough next season? That depends on the system. He could be someone going out on loan again, to be honest. And the rest, I don't know. I mean, they haven't really played, have they? They haven't really played at all. Bruno Vale, he played 1 or 2 games for us as the inverted winger, I think it was, or maybe a striker. Not too great, but yeah, Faria and Osario here. The red one here is actually next season. It's not this season their contract is running out. So I don't know what to do with these guys, because we're not playing with an AMC right now, but we could next season. So who knows? Maybe they're going to be important players next season. I don't know. But as of right now, I'm not really planning to, get rid of any of these guys. If there's going to come a bid on them, yeah, sure, we're going to sell one of them, but if not, it's also good. Attacking midfielders on the right-hand side, which was, well, not really used. So, yeah, we haven't used that. But we do have players here that definitely played quite a bit, and it's more natural on this AMR than anything. So Tenaglia, obviously, I think he's the top goal scorer. And I would also say, if I were to decide, probably player of the match. Sorry, not player of the match. Player of the year, right? Player of the year for me is Tenaglia. He's done 54 in score. That's massive. That's absolutely insane. I don't even think we're gonna see that again. I mean, maybe we'll see a higher number at some stage, but that's a very, very high number. But that is playing as a striker, so I think the wages here was definitely worth it. His 1,000 wages was 100% worth it here. Also Gregolin, a bit lower in total score, but still a fairly good season overall. And if we're playing a winger or something like that on the right hand side next season, or inside forward, well, actually, I don't think we can play inside forwards, but if we are playing someone on the right hand side in the attacking midfield, well, we have 2 pretty good players over there. Very interesting to see Emilio Padir up here. I thought he would be more of a wingback, but he is in here. But his numbers are actually kind of high. 7.98 in that average attribute. Could be someone we are looking at next season to actually use. I don't know. It depends on the system, but there's definitely something in him. Or he could be loaned out. Paulinho, I don't know. I would say he's more of a midfielder than he is an attacking midfielder. On the right hand side, but sure, he's in here. He didn't really have a great season, but he also did okay, I suppose. Also someone we might loan out. It depends on the system we're going to use. Vanderson, I would call him more of a wingback, but sure, he's probably better further forward because he doesn't have the tackling or marking and stuff like that. So Vanderson in there, 42 is actually kind of high. That's kind of high. I didn't expect him to be that high, because we do have to remember, the higher the number is here and the lower the number is here, the better they actually did. Because if they have a really high total score and a bit lower average attribute, they are overperforming. So I think Vanderson actually is overperforming here. And I guess the same thing we could say with Penguinhar. Definitely overperforming on 48. I mean, that's pretty dang good for someone on 7.62. But I could also see us actually selling Penguinhar. I mean, if someone is coming in with a really massive bid where it's way above what he's actually worth, I could see us sell Penguinhar. But he did well. He did well in this season, but I could also see us selling him. Also, Frau Gas actually did okay here. Frau Gas is one of the youngsters that is not on a long contract, but he actually was played a couple of times this season. So yes, 37 is not bad here for someone like him, I would say. We do not have any midfielders on the left-hand side. That is natural in that spot. I mean, we don't really have a lot that can play there anyways. Let's just skip over it and go to the midfielder central. Now, we didn't play any of them in midfield. but we did play some of them in other places. So Saulu is definitely probably the best one out of the bunch here. Obviously played as a winger on the right hand side for the most part. Well, actually only. So, but he's a box-to-box midfielder actually, and he did quite well. 45 is pretty good. Total score, played out of position, obviously. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. Gonçalves did pretty good, but his numbers are exactly a little bit lower than what I mean, Saulu actually did better than Gonçalves here. But both of them, very, very good. They're both very good. Average attributes are pretty high. And if we're playing with a midfielder next season, yeah, I think both of them are going to be fine. And I guess we could say the same about our youth intake player here. 17 years old. He's already at 35, and he's at 8. He's probably going to be better than the other two in front of him right now. But I mean, we actually have a pretty good setup for midfielders here. They are really good, all of them. But Calhau, a 17-year-old, this good already, he could be very good actually. So that's a very interesting one. Played a couple of games, of course, but not quite there yet, I would say. But next season, sure. I mean, potentially he could be a starter, but I don't think so. It depends on the system, of course. We'll see. We'll see how it happens. Vieira was with us at the start of the season as a defensive midfielder on that volante role, but I loaned him out in the second part, and I'm not too sure about him. He's probably one of those that we could sell if we're selling a midfielder, I would say. Kamara did really well out on loan, and he's coming back. Maybe we could use him next season, or maybe he's getting loaned out again. I'm not too sure about it. Midfielder on the right-hand side, obviously both of these haven't really played for us. Santas and Suarez. I do believe that I gave a new contract to Suarez because he did really, really well out on loan. So 48 is that's pretty good. So he did get a new contract, and we could potentially sell him on maybe in a year's time. So I think he's actually going out on loan again, but yeah, I'm not planning on using him. Santas, on the other hand, I would actually like to sell him because he doesn't look very good. He's just not worth it. So I would like to sell Santas. Defensive midfielders, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one because a lot of them are actually on loan. Like Pinto, Enrique, and Marcelinho, they are all loan deals for us. So they're not going to be here next season, but they did quite well, most of them. I mean, Pinto and Enrique, definitely the two, first choices in there. And he's actually as a best rolled volante now with Xavi Enrique. He wasn't that to begin with. But yeah, both of them did quite well here, 41 and 47. So Enrique actually better than Pinto this season. That's kind of interesting. But very, very interesting that Flamel here, he mostly played as a substitute, and he is absolutely hammering the numbers here. 45.30. And he's already 8.43 in average attributes. This guy is maybe a starter next season, or at least a backup to a starter. I'm planning on definitely using him if we are using a defensive midfielder, which is very likely gonna happen. So yeah, that's kind of nice to see. Marcelinho, not too great. I wasn't too happy with his performance, to be honest. He's probably the worst loan deal we had. Not great. Barbosa, he was out on loan for some of the... No, that's not true. He was actually just in our B squad. He didn't really do a lot down there. I think he played one match or something like that in the first squad and didn't really look too great. I would say we're probably looking at selling him. It doesn't say it here, but yeah, I think because his numbers are a little bit higher. If we could get like 200 or 300,000 for him, yeah, he would be a selling player. Jose Lillo, he's never gonna be good enough. This guy's never gonna be good enough. He's still 17, so we could still keep him for a couple of years because his contract is running for that. And then sell him later on if someone wants him, because he's probably one of the worst players at the club, to be honest. And we also have another youngster who, I mean, he got a little bit more potential compared to Lello here, so I don't know, maybe we'll loan him out. We'll see what happens with him. We do not have any natural wingbacks on the left-hand side or at the right-hand side, so we're gonna skip those two and go directly to the defender on the left-hand side, where we, of course, got Wilhak, but he is now not our player anymore, but he... I mean, that's almost player. That's player of the season, almost as well here. I don't know if I should give it to him or if I should give it to Tinaglia. That's a tough choice, actually. Wilhak was also excellent this season. Unfortunately, not our player anymore. Like I said, it's not great, but yeah, an absolutely fantastic season by him. Faiju was also playing over here quite a lot. He was like, Faiju is one of the loan deals, and he's probably been the best loan deal to me overall, but of course he's not our player, so he's going back to Vis, our parent club. Yeah, he's from Vis, so maybe we could get him again next season. I don't know. Arthur, he did okay when he did start a couple of games. He's still pretty young, but yeah, 38 is not terrible, and he is right now the only one we have on this left-hand side that is probably gonna be here next season. Alio Silver, I think we would like to sell him if we could. That I don't think he's gonna be good enough, and I don't really like how he's playing. So yeah, I would like to sell him. Pinheiro, I think his numbers are just too low. He did actually quite well out on loan this season, but if we could sell him, I would probably sell him. I don't need to sell him this season, but I'm probably still looking at selling him at some stage. So very problematic with only actually one player here. Only Arthur is natural on that left-hand side as a more natural defender left, because we do also have some of these guys AMLs here who could also, Ramirez and also Sambu, who could also play there, but they're definitely way more going forward kind of types of wingbacks. Because this guy, Arthur, he's probably more of a true fullback. Central defenders. This is also an interesting area to me, because we have actually quite a few quite decent. We don't have anyone that is really good. We have just a lot of decent central defenders. Some of them actually performed really, really well. So Inikai Rodriguez, he was obviously not playing that many games for us, and then he went out on loan. He's been injured a bit and stuff like that. I think he's actually an injury prone. So someone that we could potentially sell, even though he technically is the best player. But we will see about that. I'm not sure about starting him in next season. Because he's only on 38 in total score, and going up to a new league, we also need to add some quality, right? And I think if there is a place where we probably need a bit better quality, it's probably central defenders. They're just a little bit too low in average attributes, and maybe also total score is not quite there. We didn't have anyone that was really performing highly. I mean, don't get me wrong, Rice did fine. 49 is an excellent score, and he is very, very likely going to be here next season, unless someone is coming in for him on a big bid. Otherwise, he's definitely going to be starting in next season. And he is also one of the influential players now. So yeah, I don't think we're going to sell him, unless someone is coming in very big for him. Nildo Caron, yeah, I mean, he didn't really perform that well this season, so I'm a little bit worried about him, but he looks like a pretty good player, but it could also be someone we could loan out. I'm not too sure yet. Revier, his contract is running out. Yeah, I'm not too sure what to do with him. So far, it doesn't seem like he wants a new contract, so he could be released. I don't really like that because he performed quite well, and releasing players doesn't give me any money, so it's a bit of a tricky one, that one. Silva, Socrates Silva did okay out on loan, but again, probably not good enough for the first team right now. Tressa, I don't think he's worth the 800 wages that I'm giving him. It's kind of a mistake signing of mine. I mean, he is an influential player now, but 800 wages and only 7.96 in average attribute might not be good enough, but he did okay in performance levels. 47 is it's not terrible, but it's not great either. So yeah, I mean, we had again Rice and Tressa, it's probably fine. And Igor did really well out on loan, well, really well, but 40 in total score here is not terrible out on loan. So he could be part of the first team next season. I'm not too sure about it because he did awful. He was really awful in last season when we played in the 3rd division. And I'm not too sure if he's gonna be good enough either. And the rest, well, they're pretty much just youngsters that are either going out on loan or being sold. I think, like Cocaline here, we actually brought him last summer, but he was someone that I was thinking, let's give him one season and maybe an English Premier, or not a Premier League, but an English team is gonna come in for him because he is British. So, and very often you can get a pretty good amount for these English players or British players. Yeah, so Rosata and Melo, yeah, I mean, they're not really anywhere near first team, but they're also fairly young yet, so they could develop quite a bit. And fullbacks on the right hand side, we of course got Hopfer, our captain, and he is having another good season. And to be honest here, he was kind of, I mean, inverted wingback is probably not his best role. He is, he's more of a fullback on defend kind of guy. He's very good at tackling, he's stuff like that. So we kind of played him in a role that was probably not quite suited for him, and he still outperformed that. 51 is excellent on the inverted wingback role. I'm very happy with his performance levels. Definitely one of the better players at the club. But I don't know. We're probably not gonna give him the captaincy next season. I'm thinking maybe Jurgensen is gonna get it, but we'll see about that. After that, I am worried because we got Hill, who didn't perform well out on loan. We got Nascimento. He doesn't really look like someone we're gonna keep. Balbino is a youngster. He did perform quite well out on loan as a 17-year-old, but he's only 7 in average attributes. I don't think he's gonna be good enough. Hirik, probably the same, not quite good enough. Could go out on loan again, or he wasn't out on loan. He was just sitting in the under-19s. I don't know what to do with him. Daniel Rodriguez, yeah, I mean, again, 17, not quite good enough. Luis Marquez, half decent season out on loan, but again, not good enough. So right now, only Hopfer is probably going to be good enough for next season. Last but not least, the goalkeepers. And with these guys, I wouldn't say we need to ignore the score because it does have an influence, but I'm not using metrics that is favorable for the goalkeepers. Let's just say that. So 50 is not a good number. I mean, yeah, 50 would be an absolutely insane number for goalkeepers. But I would say that probably something around 25 is probably going to be good here. But overall, I don't think we need to judge them too hard on the total score because it's more for the outfielders than it is for the goalkeepers. So average attributes is probably more important here. Birati, yeah, I mean, he did quite well. He's probably one of the better goalkeepers in the league, or the league we are in right now, or coming from. Is he going to be good enough for next season? I hope so, because on 1,000 wages, he needs to be good enough for next season as well. He needs to be that. Otherwise, we need to sell him and find someone else. And I don't think we're going to find someone better. It's not easy to find a really, really good goalkeeper right now. So I think I'm happy with that. Giordano, he did okay out on loan, actually. He was out on loan for the half a season here. And he actually did quite well. He actually outperformed Birati, maybe. I haven't checked up on him specifically, how high his save percentage is and all of that. But it seems like he might be a good option to have on the bench next season. Instead of Lopez, because I think Lopez and also Santos here, I think they might need to go. What I would like to do here is probably sell a couple of the worst goalkeepers like Palmeirao, Lopez, Santos, and also, yeah, just probably those 3. I don't think they're going to be good enough ever. Now, the other 2 down here are probably more so going out on loan, Borges and Ludovina. So we're probably in need of finding a new, either a second choice or a third choice goalkeeper to have in the club, because I'm planning on selling the other 3 here. I don't, if I can, and if not, well, they're going to be the third choice probably. But I don't think this is an area where we're probably not going to be, you know, buying anything. So yeah, this is how it looks in the filtered top players, but I think this is going to be more important to look at when we actually do have the options for next season. So this is probably something we're going to go in and look at the end of the preseason rather than right now. So yeah, I think that's it for the spreadsheet for now, but yeah, these episodes are going to be long. And I'm probably going to make 3 episodes for these preseason stuff, because I want to look at all the data, I want to look at all the players at the end of the season and also at the beginning of the season. So yeah, there's a lot of that, and I like it. I love it. It might not be the best content in the world, but I love doing it. Back in the game, we're trying to reach the end of review kind of thing, but before we get there, we actually get an information that, yeah, we're going up into the biggest league in Portugal, and the staff is getting increased in numbers. Well, maybe. Technical director, 1 more of those. Well, or the first one. I don't think we're going to use that, to be honest, so it's probably not going to be important to me. Recruitment analyst, 1 more of those could be good, and the under 19th also get a performance analyst. I don't know if that's going to be worth it unless we are getting into a league with the under 19th, but nice to see that they're giving us a few things here at the board. The board have also announced that we're going to expand the stadium with 500 in capacity. I'm not too sure why they do this, but it could be because of the rules in the next league or the top division. But because we didn't really... Yeah, our stadium didn't really get filled out, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me if they're doing it to try and get more money, because it's costing us 630k here for only 500 capacity. Not great, I would say, but hey, they're gonna do it anyway. And here we go, end of season review. A season to remember, yeah, that's for sure. Unfortunately, we didn't win the league, but it's still an absolutely fantastic season. Yeah, the board is loving it. So that's good. As we can see here, only average home attendance 55%. So why would you increase the numbers if you're only at 55%? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But yeah, final position, second. Portuguese Cup, not too great. But again, we got unlucky with getting another big team in the third. Yeah, so Porto, yeah, it's nowhere near. I mean, they even won it. So you know, Porto won the actual cup and we got beaten by them. Okay, fair enough. Moments to remember. Biggest win was 6-1 against Peñafiel. Yep. And match to remember. A 2-2 against Arauca. No, that's not the match to remember at all. Yeah, I don't know why this was one to remember. I don't know, absolutely not. Goal of the season was Tinaglia. Okay, could be the one that I have on my list as well. Let's check it out. Rice is moving it into Pinto over to fight you. Tinaglia, and what is he gonna do here? He's gonna shoot from range or just inside the box area. I was just looking at my list again, and I actually don't have this one on my list or Tinaglia at all, so that's kind of interesting that I don't even have Tinaglia as one of my top 3 goals. But no, that was not even on my list, so let's take a look at my top 3. A through ball from Gonçalves into Jørgensen, and Jørgensen, he's gonna take care of this one because he's gonna lob it over the goalkeeper. I really like that one. Second best to me is from a corner actually, but it's not quite directly from the corner. It's Marcelinho with a long shot. But number 1 for me was also the first goal of the season, which is actually Regis' absolutely fantastic long shot from range. I absolutely love that one. I suppose you could argue that Tinaglia's goal was maybe the second best of all of them, but I don't believe that it was better than Regis. That shot from Regis was excellent. That first goal of the season was absolutely fantastic. Let's take a look at the finances. Wow, look at that annual revenue. It's just going up here. Wow, it's going up 1 million. It's going up 1 million. The prize money, of course, went up, and the match commercial and retail also went up. This actually went down, the broadcasting revenue. That's not good. And what shirts did they sell? Tinaglia. Yeah, Tinaglia is number 1 sold spot here. Jørgensen, Perotti, Tressa, and Imbalo. It's not very often you see a goalkeeper being the most sold shirt, but in this case, yeah, it is. So, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Imbalo is probably the only one I'm thinking, why is he in there? But he actually did quite well in this season. And this is how we lined up, or how they think we lined up. Perotti, Hopfer, Reis, Tressa, Vilhak, Enrique, Pinto, Penguinha, Silva, Tinaglia, and Jørgensen. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And the accolades and fans play of the season is Tinaglia. Yeah, like I also think it is. It's he's just taking all of it, isn't he? Young player of the season, Tinaglia. Signing of the season, Tinaglia. Goal of the season, Tinaglia. Top goal scorer, Tinaglia. He's taking all of it. Most assist was Jørgensen with 6 assists. So not the wingbacks this time around. Jørgensen. Interesting. Also, most player of the match award was also Jørgensen with 5. Not Tinaglia. Okay. Highest average rating was also Tinaglia. And most passes completed per 90 was Reis with 44. Record breakers, we have the Silva with 8 yellow cards and 2 red cards. Yeah, that was not good. Not good by him. Highest transfer fee, yeah, Vincent Pinto. We got a lot of money out of that one. That's pretty good. And fastest goal was Gaubert after 18 seconds. Let's take a look at the overall best 11 now. So, is anyone changed? Reis is in there now. And also Vilhak on the wing is in there. That's interesting. Jørgensen is also coming in there. So 3 of our players from this season actually went in there. So let's go ahead and take a look in the data hub. I like to do this now because it's giving me a good indication of how the overall tactic worked and also how the overall picture of some of the players performed outside of what I normally do in the spreadsheet. So let's take a look at the XG table first. I mean, this is definitely more important to look at now compared to the other seasons because this is actually working because we don't have that kind of split and all of that. So Imortal is number 1 in XG per expected points in possession. So unfortunately, we didn't get that first spot. Yeah. Where is number 1 actually? They are here. They're 4th. Interesting. Oliveriense. Okay. Plus 16 XG goals. XG. What is this? This is the expected goals against +2. So we were letting a couple of goals in that we shouldn't, but that's okay. Expected points total is +4. Yeah. Team defending is looking okay, I would say. Clean sheets is good. Opposition passes per defensive action is looking quite okay. Not quite as high as I would like it, but it's definitely better than last season. Possession 1, final third passes against us per game is very, very low, so that's good. I think there's 2 things here that is not quite there yet. The tackles 1 percentage, I would like to see that a little bit higher. And also the conceded per game is, I mean, you can always say that that's probably you want to see that lower, but I would like to see it a little bit lower than what it is here. But next season, that's not going to be the case. We are going up against a massive, I mean, next season it's going to be, if we can survive next season, that would be incredible. But But this season, I think we're doing okay defensively speaking. And the efficiency is also showing us that we are quiet defense and also a leaky defense. So yeah, a little bit too leaky. We would rather be over on the other side of this line. And the set piece defensive efficiency is also still in the red, but you know, you might remember this, but we were actually up here where Wiz was before. Actually, I think we were over here. So it might actually be a little bit better this season, but still not great. We still need to improve on the defensive efficiency on set pieces for sure. Our passing intensity, which is the average defensive line height per game, and also the opposition passes per defensive action, we are looking solid. I mean, this is perfect basically. And also aerially, we have a lot of headers, and also they are strong headers, so we are probably one of the best teams in the league in the air. The pitch tilt, on the other hand, is looking a little bit more worrisome here. Normally, we would be way over here, even way down here at some point, but we are actually in the yellow here. Fewer passes against in the final third, fewer passes for in the final third. So we didn't really get in, we didn't pass it around too much near the final third. We just get it up there and then score a goal, right? But I guess it's not a bad thing as long as you score the goals, but we definitely never control the games. But the overall team attacking is actually looking quite good here. One of the things I really want to note out is how good we were at crossing this season compared to some of the other seasons. 21.38 is actually kind of good for us. I really like to see that. Of course, the pass completion is never going to be high because we are playing way more direct, so I'm not too worried about that actually. If we were playing shorter passing, we would also have a higher number here, clearly. Set piece attacking efficiency, we are really up there. High XG per game and also many crosses per game. I don't know if we actually got that many goals from set pieces, but we are definitely pretty good when it comes to crosses and expected assist as well. And also the attacking efficiency, clinical shooting, aggressive shooting, we are right up there where we want to be. And we do also score on them, so we are high scoring and also aggressive shooting. So that's basically the same metric, just showing that we also are scoring on those chances. But let's also take a look at some of our players and how they performed in these kind of polygons here. So the first one is the goalkeepers, and it looks like Berotti is doing okay, but not great. The saves per 90 is not, I mean, it's not really high, but I don't know what his save percentage is. We probably need to go look at that somewhere else. But yeah, overall, he's doing okay, I think. Conceded per 90 minutes, way too high here, of course, for Lopez. I don't like to see him above this line here. This line is probably where we want to not go over. So Lopez, I don't know about this next season for him, to be honest, at our club. Tackling defenders, yes, what we're looking at here is how good they were at tackling. Of course, the fullbacks need to be on the correct line. Faiju is definitely in there, Vilhak is just on the line, and Hopper is also on the green here. So that's pretty good. Who is not performing too well on that? Well, Vanderson, because he's not much of a fullback, he's more of a winger, so that makes sense. That makes sense. Also, tackling midfielders is quite important, especially on the defensive midfielders. And actually, Otavio Enrique is not doing too well. Machinlo is also not doing too well. Flamel, he do have lots of tackles, but they're fairly poor, so he needs to improve on that. And Pinto also not quite good enough. I'm actually a little bit disappointing with our midfielders. But on the other hand, our wingers, or the one we were playing as wingers like Gonçalves and Salo, they actually did okay in their tacklings, and also strong tacklings, or close to strong tackling. So they were not actually that bad, our wingers. Physical output for forwards, which means how much they have sprinted and how, yeah, just how much they are sprinting and how much distance they're gonna cover. So Hooker actually, yeah, he did quite well in this one. Imbalo is absolutely up there. Da Silva a little bit lower, so the inverted wingers definitely is up there. Strikers, not so much, but it's actually more important with the inverted winger that he is going to make a lot of distance and also making a lot of sprints, because that is kind of an indication of is he gonna get into situations where he can be useful for us. And well, I guess Imbalo definitely did. Da Silva a little bit lower. And the same goes for the midfielders. How many sprints are they gonna take defensively, right? Flamel, he's making a lot of sprints. That could be defensively, but it could also going forward. Salo as a winger is doing a lot of that. Marcelinho is actually quite good here. Gonçalves, not quite as good. Pinto really poor on this one, actually. He's not making an effort, but maybe that's why. It could be because he's very good at positioning himself and he doesn't need to make the runs. I don't know, but he didn't have a really good season this time around. The last season was way better. I mean, he did okay, don't get me wrong, but he was not as good this season. Aerially, for the defenders, which is probably the most important metric for defenders, yeah. We have 4 of our players being in what I would consider pretty decent or alright. Faiju is probably the best of the lot here. Reis is looking quite alright. Ramirez is a little bit low here, but then again, he's a fullback, right? Or even a winger. So I'm actually, it's kind of nice to see him right there, because he shouldn't really be that great in the air anyway. Tressa is on the wrong side of the green and yellow here, but still he's making a lot of headers, and a lot of them are strong hitters. And I think the reason he's actually on the yellow here is because he's also the one that we are aiming for when we are taking our corners. So he is often not winning those, but he will win a lot of headers defensively, I think. And the same go for the forwards. Aerially, we do need some decent enough strikers aerially, and at least one or two of them. And Gregolin and DePauler actually did really well. I didn't expect to see Gregolin in here doing this well, but yeah, that's nice to see. DePauler, we already knew that he was gonna be good in the air, but he didn't really, I mean, the thing is, Tinaglia kind of took his place, so he didn't play all that much except from just the substitute, but I guess he did all right as a substitute. Assisting forwards, and this is actually more to just give us a picture of how the inverted wingers did on assisting, and I guess they did actually okay compared to the rest of the league. Embalo and Da Silva is both in the green here, or yeah, on the line basically for Da Silva, so they did okay. Assisting midfielders, on the other hand, we did not really play into trying to get our midfielders to make assists. More so, they were more transitional kind of players, so I'm not too surprised to see them very low in assisting. What we probably did want to see is our wingbacks. Not the inverted wingback, but definitely the wingback being a little bit higher in assisting. I think it's a little bit disconcerting to see that our wingbacks in this system didn't really do more in terms of assists. Like we already saw, our crossing was improved quite a bit, and I guess what we're looking at here is one of the reasons. All of our inverted wingbacks, or sorry, not inverted wingbacks, inverted wingers actually did quite good in terms of crossing it. And of course the winger, the midfielder winger on the right hand side also had to do a lot of crossings. And we can see Saulo here, he's 9 crosses per game. That's insane. That's an insane amount. And obviously they can't all be accurate, but I think being on the line here is actually kind of okay, because he's making a lot of crosses with a low percentage chance. So Saulo and Gonçalves is doing okay. I think Penguinher probably needed to do a little bit better here, but overall I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing here. Yeah, and we of course also wanted our wingback on the left hand side to do the crosses. So Vilhag, he is in there and he is looking quite good. He was probably the best crosser yeah, in this season. Vanderson is also in there, and Ramirez is also in there, and they are on the correct line. Hopfer played as an inverted wingback, so we can't really judge him. And Faiju also played a lot of games as a central defender, as an inverted wingback, and yeah, like half and half and half, or 33% on all the different spots in the central or in the defense. So we can't really judge him on it, but it looks okay to me here, especially Vilhag. He looks fantastic in here. The goal output for our strikers, and Jørgensen is on the green because he also had a couple of assists. But I mean, I can't really, and Tinaglia, yeah, he might be in the yellow here, but it doesn't matter because it's still contributing so many goals here for us, Tinaglia. I mean, both of them did really, really well this season. On the other hand, Gregolin and DePaula, yeah, it's a bit low to me. I think they should be a little bit higher, like up here somewhere, to be worth it actually. But I mean, they're fine as they are, but definitely these two guys, fantastic season from them. But also an interesting one to look at here, the expected attacking output for the forwards, which is high non-penalty expected goals and high quality creating from open play. So Gregolin, yeah, he's in this one because he's making a lot of open play creation, which is nice if we're playing him next season as a winger or something like that. High non-penalty expected goals, so Tinaglia, he's definitely having more goals coming from non-penalties, where Jørgensen did have a couple of penalties in him, so he's way down here actually. He's still in the green, he's still doing okay, but again, that's why Tinaglia has probably been the best one for me this season. And the same metric just for midfielders, we can definitely see the Saulo here, he is creating a lot of chances, and he also had a couple of goals in him. By far the best midfielder in that kind of metric. The possession for midfielders, it's a bit of a tricky one here because we are playing with a lot of risk in our passing in the midfield. So what we can probably tell from this is how good they are at winning the ball back and not lose it straight away. So I think someone like Flamel here is actually looking really good because he is winning a lot of, yeah, he's winning possession so often here. That's really nice to see as a defensive midfielder. Saulo, yeah, he is definitely winning the ball back quite often, but he is also losing it, and I think it's because he's probably gonna put the ball on risk quite a lot of times. He's crossing it in, trying some more direct kind of options and stuff like that. But overall, I'm okay with them being in the central here, as long as they're not getting down here somewhere. That would be a worry. But this is actually kind of good when you think about how direct our playstyle was this season. And another interesting metric with the midfielders here is the passing progression, because that is very important for us. We need to go more direct so we can see who is actually doing that. Saulo is definitely doing that, but he's really way down here. He's only 74% or something, or 72% pass completion, and he's not really making that many progressive passes. So I'm kind of worried about that. He needed to be way over here to be worth how low this actually is. So I'm not too sure about that actually. Saulo might be a little bit troublesome in that area. Flamel, on the other hand, again, the defensive midfielder, a lot of progressive passes. That is, I mean, yes, he is probably the last midfielder, you know, he's the defensive midfielder, but still, that is very, very good, especially on 81% or whatever it is here. That is really, really solid as a defensive midfielder with the tactic we had. And one thing we did not want to see this season from our tactic is that our possession was lost on our central defenders, or the fullbacks for that matter. And what we can see here is that Trezor probably not too good on, yeah, he didn't win the possession all that much, Trezor, and he also gave it away a little bit too much. I would rather have our fullbacks being a little bit further over here, because they are they're doing a lot of risky moves. We are often playing it out to them, and then they're trying to move it forward into the inverted winger or the winger, or you know, one of the strikers. So they will definitely risk the ball a lot more, and thereby also risking losing the possession a lot more. But the central defenders, someone like Trezor and Reis, we don't want to see them too far over here in this tactic. I guess that's okay where they are. It's just he's not really winning the possession either here, Trezor, which is not nice to see. Of course, we also need to talk about the bans and the unbans, because I like to do this pretty early in the preseason. I mean, we're not even in the preseason yet, but I like to do it now. Obviously, the 4-2-2-2 is gonna be banned next season, well, for 2 seasons actually, and also all of the roles, and these are the roles that was mostly used, and the balance was the mentality that was mostly used. I did use cautious quite a bit as well, but balance was the most used one, and these roles are of course banned, along with, from previous season, the 4-3-3 is also still banned, so we can't use that either. But what is nice is that we do get this back, right? We get the 5-1-1-2-1 back, and all those roles are now something we can use again. Also worth a note, we had a extra ban to the deep line playmaker on the defensive midfield on the right hand side here. That is now open again. That was that extra ban. We still have another extra ban that is going to run even longer, which is the advanced forward, of course, in the mid here. That's going to run way longer until 31 or whatever it was. But yeah, the deep line playmaker is now open again, so we'll see what we are going to do. I have no idea what, well actually I have 2 tactics in mind for next season, but I'm not too sure how I'm gonna do them. But for now, at least, yeah, the formation is, these 2 are gonna be banned, and the other one is gonna be open again. Now, what about what we're gonna ban in here? Well, we know that the balance is banned. In possession, this is actually a very, very hard choice. I'm actually gonna, I don't think we've done this one before, so I'm actually gonna ban focus play down the right-hand side, right? Yeah, that's the one we're gonna ban, because I don't really want to ban this one again, and I don't really want to ban this one, because that is probably the most important one to use during the matches to try and play in a different way. So I think focus play down the right-hand side seems like a good option, because I don't really want to go for the final third again. Or this cross thing. I don't want to go for that. So let's ban the focus play down the right hand side. And in transition, I think I think it's between the goalkeeper in possession and the distribution type here, because I don't ever want to ban these 2. It's just too good to ban them. So throw it long or distribute quickly. I think it's gonna be throw it long. It's probably the least important one here. Obviously, the distribution, we can change that to roll it out next season or something like that, or take short kicks. I think throw it long is probably just gonna go out. Yeah, let's ban that one. So out of possession is, well, that's also gonna be a tricky one, because there is definitely 2. There's 2 of these that I think is completely suicidal to change. Well, actually 3. Much higher lines, higher press, and also much more often trigger press. Any of those 3 is absolutely suicidal to go for right now. That is almost part of our DNA, that we are a higher pressing team. So I think we need to go either get stuck in or go, prevent shorter goalkeeping distribution. And I mean, I think both the tackling here is, I think it's important to get stuck in, but I'm not too sure. I think yeah, let's try and take it out. It could be. I mean, get stuck in. I'm valuing it way higher than the prevent short goalkeeping distribution, but we have already chosen the prevent short goal distribution 2 times, I believe, in the other seasons. So I think we're gonna try with the tackling and actually ban get stuck in. I don't like it because I think it's very, very important. Not quite as important as the other 3 is, but it's still a very important metric in our tactic, or in any tactic basically in FM24. But we're gonna ban that one. It's gonna be tricky next season for sure. So for next season, I got 2 ideas in mind, and I'm not sure which one is gonna be better, and also we need to probably find players for both kinds of systems that I am thinking about here. The first one here is of course the 4-2-2 asymmetric, but mirrored. It's a mirror version of the one we used last season. This is the one that is still banned, of course. I just needed to check up on a couple of things, but this is kind of the mirror of what we had last season. So we can still use the volante and the defensive midfielder because they're mirrored compared to last season, and the pressing forward and advanced forward. Winger on the left, which is a problem because we don't have any wingers at all. None that can play over here. And then we have a ramdoider. Yes, on the right hand side. I don't know if this is gonna work. We have a wing back down here, inverted wing back here. And probably the most problematic is that we can only play with no nonsense center backs, which is not great. I don't like that at all. So that could be maybe a thing we could do, but we definitely need to go out and find a lot of defensive midfielders and also a winger. Or a couple of wingers probably, so it's a question mark, I would say. The other thing I was thinking about was a 5-2-3 with also ramdoiders, because I mean, we could also go for wingers, right? We could actually go for wingers here and then just leave the wingbacks as more defensive options, or even yeah, something like that. Inverted wingbacks probably not, but probably wingbacks on defend instead, and make these wingers instead of ramdoiders. I'm not too sure about the ramdoider. I haven't really used it a whole lot, but yeah, we are kind of limited by not having inverted wingers or inside forwards at all. So yeah, there it is. It's then just a couple of wide center backs and a ball-playing defender, because that is allowed in the central park here. A halfback and a defensive midfielder as well. I don't know. There is... I mean, we could do something like this as well. I'm not too sure which one of them I'm gonna go for. I haven't decided yet. I think, overall, I think this is probably more of a secure option, where this one is probably more out there. This one is probably... I'm unsure if that's gonna work out at all. I don't think it's gonna be better than the other one. I think this is probably the best one to go for, but I could go for the 5 in the back kind of situation as well. Can't really tell yet. I'm not too sure. But I think I'm gonna leave you with that, without knowing. So here's the thing, guys. I think there is too much going on at the end of the season, also in the transfers, and also in the preseason, that I can't really make it into 2 episodes or 1 episode compared to how I want to show you guys that. So it's gonna be a 3-parter, probably also moving forward, because there's just too much to do. There's just way too much to do and way too much to show, and I like showing a lot of the things happening. So yeah, I think this is gonna be the first part of this whole summer thing. And then next time we're gonna look at more transfers and maybe a lot of selling and a lot of buying and stuff like that. Hopefully so, at least. And then the last part is probably gonna be the more pre-season part, where we are going through the friendlies and hopefully also going into maybe one of the games in the beginning of the season as well. But anyway, guys, I hope you're enjoying this, and I will definitely see you around next time.